Let me start by hitting you with an uncomfortable truth. If you're too available for her, you're losing her respect. You think you're being the nice guy, the one who's always there, always texting back in seconds, always ready to drop everything for her. But the harsh reality? She's not impressed. She's losing interest. Being too available doesn't make her appreciate you more. It makes her take you for granted. Women are drawn to men who value themselves, men who know their worth and don't hand it out cheaply. If you're constantly chasing her, always the first to reach out and always bending over backward to keep her attention, you're unknowingly communicating one thing. You're desperate. And let me tell you something. Nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. Here's the kicker. It's not her fault you're in this position. It's yours. Harsh? Maybe. But the first step to fixing this is owning your role in the dynamic. Women instinctively respect men who set boundaries and have their own priorities. If you're too available, you're showing her that she's your only priority. And that's not attractive, it's suffocating. But don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean you have to play games or be cold-hearted. It means you need to recalibrate how you show up in her life. You need to reclaim your value by valuing yourself first. This is about finding balance, showing her that you have a life worth respecting, and ensuring she knows you're not a guy who can be easily replaced. So, are you too available? By the end of this, you'll know exactly where you're going wrong, and more importantly, how to fix it. Let's dive in. 1. You're too easy to reach. She doesn't have to work for you. Here's the first brutal truth. If you're always available, you're not a challenge. Women are naturally drawn to men who make them work a little for their attention. When you're too easy to reach, she doesn't have to put in any effort. And let me tell you, effort is the key to attraction. Think about it. If you're texting her back within minutes, always available for her phone calls, or dropping everything just because she needs something, you're sending a clear message. You're always there. And that's a mistake. Women don't want a man who's just sitting by the phone waiting for her to text. Why? Because there's no excitement in that. You're basically telling her you've got nothing else going on in your life. You're telling her that your world revolves around her, and that's not attractive. A real man has a life, a purpose, and goals that matter. When you're constantly at her beck and call, you become a safety net, nothing more. She knows you'll always be there when she's bored, when she needs someone to talk to, or when she's looking for attention. But that's it. You become a fallback plan, not a priority. Here's where many men go wrong. They think being available means they're being a good guy, that they're showing they care. But in reality, you're just making it too easy for her. She doesn't have to work for your time or your attention. The result? She gets bored and she stops valuing you. Think about this scenario. You're always there when she reaches out. Quick texts, always answering calls, always accommodating her schedule. But the moment she needs space or doesn't respond for a while, you're left wondering, why isn't she texting back? The reality? You've been too available, and now she's taking you for granted. You need to pull back. Show her that your time is valuable. Stop being the guy who's always around. When she can't just grab your attention whenever she wants, you suddenly become a man of worth, someone who has boundaries. And that's when she starts to take you seriously. By reclaiming your time, you'll force her to chase, which is exactly what you want. 2. Constant texting is weak. Stop being a digital slave. You might think that responding instantly to her texts is a way to show you're interested, but here's the truth. It makes you look weak and dependent. When you're always glued to your phone, waiting for her message, you're essentially telling her that nothing else in your life matters more than her. And that's not the message you want to send. Now think about it. If you're constantly texting her back within seconds, how much mystery or excitement do you leave for her? None. The magic of attraction is rooted in tension, in the unknown. If she can get an instant response from you at any hour, where's the challenge? Where's the thrill? There is none. This doesn't mean you need to be rude or ignore her, but it's time to realize that texting constantly makes you look desperate. Women appreciate a guy who has a life, who's not chained to his phone, always waiting for her to send the next message. When you make yourself available at her convenience, you lose control. She's the one dictating when you communicate, and that's not the position you want to be in. Let's break it down. Imagine you're in the middle of something important, work, a hobby, hanging with friends, and your phone buzzes. You immediately stop what you're doing, drop everything, and respond. It doesn't matter if it's a quick hey or something more serious, you're available right away. She knows this, and she knows she can get your attention on a whim. You've become a digital slave, and that's a huge turnoff. What you need to understand is that the less available you are, the more intriguing you become. You're busy, you have your own life, and your time isn't something that's freely given away. Make her wait a little. It doesn't mean playing games, it means maintaining your independence. When you stop constantly texting her back, she'll start wondering about you. That's when the interest grows. You're not her personal 24/7 service. Your time is valuable, and you should act like it. Stop being a slave to your phone, and start being a man who controls his own time. Only then will you have her attention, respect, and ultimately, her attraction. 3. You're always there, but she doesn't respect it. Let's get real for a second. Being always available sounds nice, but it doesn't get you the results you think it does. You might believe that showing up at any moment, dropping everything, and always being the go-to guy will make her appreciate you more. But here's the hard truth. She won't respect you for it. Think about this for a minute. When you're constantly there, always on standby, you're teaching her that you have no boundaries. You're telling her that she's your number one priority, that you'll always put her above everything else. And while that might sound like a good way to show you care, it actually communicates that you don't value yourself. Respect is something that is earned, not demanded. And when you make yourself too easy to access, respect goes out the window. She knows she can count on you to be there, no matter what. She can rely on you to give up your plans, your time, and your energy for hers. But that predictability, it makes you less attractive, less intriguing. You stop being a challenge, and that's when respect starts to fade. Now, you might argue that being there for her is just part of being a good partner, but the truth is, being constantly available doesn't make you a better partner. It makes you a convenience, a person you can count on to always show up, but never someone who commands admiration or desire. There's nothing special about someone who's always there at the drop of a hat. When you always make yourself available, you lose the opportunity to create space that makes her want to come back for more. You lose the chance to show her that your time is valuable, that you have your own life, your own goals, and your own interests. Without that, what do you really bring to the table? Just a guy who's there when she calls. To gain her respect, you have to pull back. Show her that you're not just another option she can take for granted. When you start valuing your own time and setting boundaries, that's when she'll start seeing you as the kind of man she respects and values. You'll stop being the guy who's always there and become the man who's worth waiting for. 4. No life outside her. You're a convenience, not a priority. If you don't have a life outside of her, you're in dangerous territory. A woman wants a man who's living his life with or without her, not someone who drops everything just to be around her. When you make her the center of your world, it's not attractive, it's desperate. Think about it. If you're always available to hang out, always free for her calls, always ready to drop your plans to make hers work, she'll start seeing you as a backup plan, not a priority. People respect boundaries, and when you have none, it's hard to command respect. She'll take your availability for granted. You become her convenience, not her desire. It's hard to accept, but if she sees that she's the only thing in your life, you're already losing. She needs to know that you have your own interests, passions, and goals. This is what makes you attractive: your independence, your drive, your ambition. When you're too focused on her, you're giving up the very things that make you interesting to her in the first place. Let's be honest, if you're constantly available, it shows you've got nothing else going on, and that's a huge turnoff. Women are attracted to men who have their own purpose. It's what gives you strength, it's what makes you confident, and it's what keeps her chasing you. When you don't have a life outside of her, you lose that mystery. You lose the excitement. She knows what to expect. And she'll get bored. A woman wants to be with a man who has his own life and doesn't need her to fill every gap. The guy who's always waiting around for her doesn't inspire admiration. He's just a filler, someone she calls when she has nothing else going on. That's not how you want to be seen. If you want her to respect you and view you as a priority, you've got to make yourself a priority first. You need to have things you're passionate about outside of her, things that make your life rich and fulfilling. Only when she sees that you're living your own life, making your own plans, will she start to view you as someone she has to work to keep. That's when the dynamic shifts, and you become the prize, not the backup. 5. She feels smothered. Your constant presence is a turnoff. Let's face it, when you're always around, always available, always checking in, she starts to feel smothered. You might think you're showing affection, but you're really pushing her away. Your constant presence isn't making you more desirable. It's making you come across as needy. And no woman wants a man who's desperate for her attention, constantly trying to fill every moment of her day. It's simple. When you make yourself too accessible, you're suffocating her. There's no space for her to miss you, no room for her to appreciate your time together. Instead, you're always in her space, always there to answer her calls, always showing up when she hasn't asked for it. That's not attractive. It's exhausting. She starts to feel like you're demanding too much of her time and emotional energy. Here's the hard truth. The more you're around, the less you're appreciated. It's like a job you're always on call for. The more you show up, the less she values you. You stop being something she looks forward to, and you start being something she has to deal with. And when she starts to feel like she's dealing with you, attraction fades. When you're always there, you kill the mystery. Mystery is magnetic. It's what makes her wonder what you're up to, why you're not texting back immediately, and what you're doing with your time. When you're constantly available, you take all of that away. She knows exactly where you are, exactly what you're doing, and exactly how much attention you're giving her. That predictability makes you less exciting and more of a chore. What she really wants is a man who has his own life, his own interests, and isn't looking for her to validate his existence. When you're too available, you're showing her that you don't have your own life, that you're just waiting for her to fill it. That's not attractive, and it's not healthy for either of you. Instead, give her space. Take a step back and let her come to you. When you stop being constantly present, you give her the freedom to miss you, to appreciate your presence when it's there, and to see you as someone who has his own life. This is how you stop smothering her and start building real attraction. 6. You overvalue her, and it shows. If you've been treating her like she's the center of your world, always going out of your way to please her, you need to hear this. The more you cater to her, the less she'll value your time and attention. You've probably heard it before, but let me say it clearly. When you overvalue her, you lose your power in the relationship. Think about it. When you place her on a pedestal, you're telling her that she's more important than you are. You start adjusting your plans, sacrificing your time, and dropping everything just to please her. You may think that by doing so, you're showing her how much you care, but what you're really doing is making her take you for granted. She'll stop seeing you as a man of value and start seeing you as someone who's easy to manipulate. Here's why this happens. People value what they have to work for, not what's handed to them. If you're constantly available, constantly sacrificing your own needs for hers, she won't respect you or the relationship. You're no longer a challenge. You're just a man who's always there when she needs something. Overvaluing her also means you start prioritizing her needs over your own, which sends the message that she's more important than your time, your goals, and your life. And when you put her on that pedestal, you make her feel like she can do whatever she wants with your time and attention. She may not even realize it, but this will start to chip away at the attraction she has for you. What you need to understand is that you are not her servant. You're a man with your own life, your own passions, and your own worth. When you overvalue her, you stop valuing yourself. You get caught up in trying to make her happy, to make her feel special, but in the process, you lose sight of what makes you special in her eyes. She starts to take you for granted, and that's a dangerous place to be. So stop overvaluing her. You're not her backup plan or her emotional support without boundaries. Reclaim your value. Don't cater to her every whim. Set your standards and show her that you have a life outside of her. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect yourself enough to not be anyone's second choice. When she realizes that your time and attention are valuable, she'll start to respect you more and the dynamic will shift. You'll become the prize again. 7. Stop being her backup plan. She should know you're a prize. Let's be real. If you're always around, constantly available, and willing to drop everything for her, you're not showing your worth. You're making it too easy for her. And when things are too easy, they lose their value. You're becoming the backup plan, the guy who's always there when she has nothing better to do. And that's not how you make her see you as a prize. Think about it. If she knows she can always count on you to be there, no matter what, where's the incentive for her to put in the effort? You're giving away your time, your energy, and your attention without requiring anything in return. That's not attractive. A woman wants a man who knows his value, not one who is desperate to be her second choice. Here's the hard truth. When you're constantly available, you become predictable. She knows exactly what to expect, and predictability doesn't spark attraction. It breeds complacency. She doesn't have to chase you, she doesn't have to earn your attention. You've already handed it over to her. You're telling her, I'm here whenever you need me, no matter what. But a man who truly knows his worth doesn't behave this way. He's busy. He's got a life outside of her. He's a prize, and he knows it. And when she realizes that, the dynamic shifts. She starts to see him as someone worth working for. She starts to chase him because now he's the one with value. By always being around, you're lowering your value. You're not giving her a reason to appreciate you. But when you take a step back, when you stop always being at her disposal, she'll start to wonder what you're up to. She'll start to realize that you have options, that you're not waiting around for her to come to you. This is how you make her see you as a prize. You stop making yourself so easily accessible. You make her work for your attention. And when you do this, you stop being her backup plan. You become the man she has to compete for, the man who isn't just going to settle for being second best. And that's when she'll start to see you as the prize you truly are. Here's the harsh reality. If you're always available, she's never going to chase you. You're not creating any desire by constantly showing up when she wants you. In fact, you're making yourself too easy, and in doing so, you make her lose respect for you. Men who are constantly available aren't seen as a prize. They're seen as someone who's always on standby. No woman wants to feel like she's the only thing you've got going on. If you're not getting the attention you want or deserve, maybe it's time to step back and stop being so available. Let her miss you. Let her wonder what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not responding to her texts immediately. When you stop being her backup plan and start focusing on your own life, that's when the real attraction begins. So, let's get real. Are you too available? How will you start fixing it? I want to hear your thoughts and experiences. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. I'll reach out to some of you personally and we can connect on how to create the change you need to become the man who's always wanted, never needy.